for today's session on Updeshamrut, that is nectar of instructions. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Let us first offer our obeisances to the Shad Goswamis. Nana Shastra Vichanika Nipanau Sadharma Sanstapakau Lokanam Hitkarinav Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanya Karo Radha Krishna Padavinda Bhajnanandena Mattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Sri Jiva Gopalakau. We have understood till now. So Updeshamrut helps us to develop through the 9 progressive stages of bhakti, from Shraddha, Sadhusang, Bhajan, Kriya, Anartha, Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava to the Prema level through the 11 shlokas. First 3 shlokas help us to understand Shraddha, wherein we understood how to control the mind and senses, what are the things which are favorable to Krishna, what are the things which are unfavorable to Krishna. These next 3 shlokas are helping us to understand Sadhu Sangha. So yesterday we saw what are the 6 loving exchanges between devotees. Today we'll see how to deal with the different devotees, and then what should we avoid in our dealings with the devotees we'll consider next week. 7th shloka will help us understand Bhajan, Kriya, Anartha, Nivritti, Nishtha and Ruchi. The 8th shloka about Nishtha, and the 9th to 11th, the last 3 shlokas will help us to understand Bhava and Prema. So we continue our discussions with the first shloka. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva vegam udrapastha vegam etan vegan anyo vishayaka dhira sarvam api mam prativim sishya. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So here we saw how atonement, what we generally consider, is false. The real atonement is awakening the the dormant Krishna consciousness. So for that, we need to have training according to the regulative principles and methodical life. So there we saw the traditional method of tapasya involving celibacy, austerity, mind sense control, cleanliness, truthfulness, renunciation in yogasanas, and the Pancharatri tapasya method by Rupa Goswami ji, wherein we understood that what we need to do is practice bhakti under Guru's guidance in association of devotees, and we have to avoid, that is, ensure that we follow the 4 regulative principles. The application, especially Prabhupada's purport, Vachaha, the problem is that we keep on talking just like Karnis and Nanis, and the solution is Krishna Katha. Maunam is not a solution. Mind, Manasaha, problem is it attracts anarthas. The solution is we have to meditate on the lotus feet. Krodha, anger, problem is it cannot be stopped. Then the solution is that we apply it against the blasphemers. Jiva, problem is it wants to eat everything in the Karmish shop. Solution is we take only prasad. And that too, we have to be grateful when Krishna supplies us and accept it as his mercy and take it at scheduled time zone. Udarapastha, the solution is that we should avoid unnecessary sexual activities and consider it only for Krishna conscious kids. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was explaining this in an Anuvritti's commentary, has classified the urges into those of speech, mind, and body. For speech, the problem he describes it as prajalpa, which karmis, nanis, and karmakandis are involved into. Solution he gave was harikatha. That is virodhyukta krodha. For the body, the tongue, belly, and genitals, which are in the same line, are the problems. So for tongue, he has explained that there are the problem is because of the 6 types of demands, and the solution is we have to take prasadam. For the belly, the problem is it is the stomach disease. The solution is fasting for Ekadashi and festivals, just like we are fasting today. For the genitals, he has explained about the illegal activities and how we make it legal. So the conclusion of first shloka was that we can serve only one master, either the senses or the Krishna. If we serve senses, we will become Godas or Adantago. And if he starts serving Krishna, then there is an opportunity to be a Goswami. So Krishna consciousness is the best solution to control the six urges. Atyahara prayasasya prajalpanyam agraha janasangascha laulyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. So one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following six activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. Or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5. Associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6. Being greedy for mundane achievements. So second shloka, it is explaining us how the bhakti is spoiled and why we should avoid them. So how it is spoiled is atyahar, because of too much of say involvement into religion, where we are not going into the actual purpose, or in philosophy, where we are going into too much of books or too much of knowledge, or welfare activities because they are not centered on Krishna consciousness. Prayasa, over endeavoring. The result is that we are having no time for inquiry. And the solution is simple living. Prajalpa. So the example we show was that of a frog. We have to avoid it. Niyam agraha. So agraha or agraha, where we reject rules and we become enjoyers, or we accept rules and become ritualists. Janasangaha. So we have to avoid. What is required is bhakta sanevas and laulyam, whether it is bhukti, mukti, or siddhi. Any kind of greed is going to spoil our life. So it is necessary we avoid them, and when we avoid them, we get the benefits of an ideal society. No economic maladjustments, no political instability, and spiritual community gets established, which results in the spiritual awakening. And that is where we are working seriously. If we don't stop these six unfavorable things, we lose the essence of human life, which is plain living and high thinking, and come under the external energy, that is Bahiranga Shakti, suffering the threefold miseries and repeated birth, old age, disease, and death. Utsaha nishchayat dhairyat tat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vritte shadbir bhakti prasidhyati. These are six principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. Being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to the regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These six principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So these six principles can be distributed into four categories: attitude, behavior, character, and direction. So Utsaha, Nishchaya, and Dhairya define the attitude, Sangatyaga define the behavior, Tat Tat Karma Pravartana define the character, and Sataha Vritte define the direction. So here we understood what is the impetus for bhakti. What is not bhakti is sentimental speculation or imaginary ecstasy. Bhakti actually is Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Dhyana Karmadi Anavrutam, Anukullena Krishnanushilanam Bhaktirum. So it has to be cultivated. It is not meditation, and it has to be an attachment to devotional activity. How to perform is by the Navvida practice. Why? Because it is rare, blissful, and liberating, and any sincere practitioner can perform it. And ISKCON is one of the platforms where it can be done. So you have seen these 9 processes: Navvida Bhakti, hearing the name and glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, chanting His glories, remembering the Lord, serving the Lord's feet, worshipping the Deity, offering obeisances unto the Lord, acting as Lord's servant, making friends with the Lord, and surrendering oneself fully to the Lord. So we can do any one or multiple of them or all of them. And we have seen the examples of the great devotees in the past who have performed them. The favorable conditions we discuss further is Utsaha, and why it is required because any success in any field requires enthusiasm. So what is required is endeavor with intelligence. So it is something like Yukta Vairag. Nishchayat, because now when we say Nishchayat or confidence, what it indirectly means, it has to be no confidence on other paths as well as confidence only in other paths, because we should not believe because they are impermanent and cause less stresses and leading to fall down. While bhakti, it is perfection. It is a life, soul desired goal and perfection. It is protection because we are surrendering to gain protection. It is profitable, pure, perfect. It is powerful, ahetuki apratihata, and it is productive. It does not require any material qualifications. It develops divine qualities just like demigods, and it is pure. There is no tinge of material activities. So that is why nishchaya or confidence only in bhakti is important. Dhairya, because nothing comes immediately. Slow and steady wins the race. So you have to take instructions from Guru, execute devotional service, and depend on Guru and Krishna's mercy for the results. Tat karma pravartana. So when we say tat karma, what is required is we have to chant and follow the 4 regulative principles, which will destroy everything. And if you don't do these things or neglect them, then even our bhakti will be destroyed. Sanga tyagat. So we have to avoid Jnanis, karmis, and yogis, and we have to live with the devotees. And when we say we are talking about satovritte, what it means is we have to ensure a lifestyle wherein throughout the day, 24/7, we are thinking only of Krishna. Dadati pratigrhanati gohyamakhyati pruchati bhungte bhojayate chaiva shadviddhim priti lakshanam. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad, and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So it teaches us how to perform devotional activities in the association of devotees. So here we saw whom we should associate is only with devotees. Where? So ISKCON could be one of the platforms, and there we saw how the life membership has facilitated the 6 exchanges, because we are able to give donation, invite devotees to our house, inquire about Krishna consciousness. We give books, we honor prasadam, we give explanations. Our spiritual life is nourished, and the dormant Krishna consciousness is revived. How? By association. Sangatyagat. Sangata sanjayate sangatyagat. So desires and ambitions develop according to our association. So you have to give holy name. It is the best gift for Rati. And that was even by Thakur and Nitai, Gaur Nitai, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it can convert members as Pratigranati. We have to be willing and ready to accept. So when we say Guhya Makhyati, we have to explain situation of the material world, and we have to inquire about Krishna consciousness. We have to follow, visit Sunday feast programs, and we have to invite even devotees for taking prasadam. Why? Because it gives us success, it gives peace, it gives tranquility, and it develops friendship. We have to avoid association with all kinds of atheists and mayavatis. How we can do it? By never inquiring confidentially, never accepting any invitation or inviting them for any association, by no intermingling with them, not having anything to be taken from them, neither giving to them, never accept or give food, because we share anna. That is what Chaitanya Charitamrita in Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji has explained. And the explanation was very simple, because poisonous association is just like a snake who is being given milk and bananas. Whatever milk or bananas you give is not going to become friend. Only his poison is going to increase. So any information which we share with the Mayavadis and the atheists, they'll be used to promote materialism and oppose Krishna consciousness. And so towards the end, Prabhupada mentioned, unless one is very advanced, he is unable to utilize everyone's contribution for furthering Krishna consciousness. So we should not accept charity from even Mayavadis and regarding the Dati principle, we additionally saw how advanced devotees give at least 50% for service to Krishna and devotees. And we saw the example of Sri Rupa Goswami ji, who gave 50% towards Krishna, 25% for family, and 25% for personal usage. And so it is recommended that if we start giving 50% of our income, it will fulfill the demands of the Dati. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalaka Chakshurunmulitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscham Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsham Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we move to the Shloka 5 now. Hare Krishna. Krushneti yasya giritam manasendriyate dikshati cheta pranatibhihi cha bhajantam isham shrushrushaya bhajana vijnanam ananyam anya nindadi shunya hridam ipsi. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, dīkṣā, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Krushneti yasti giritam manasandriyeta dikshahati cheta pranatibhi cha bhajantim isham shrushrushaya bhajana vidyanam ananyam anya nindadi shunyam rudam ipsitam asangata labhya. So here it is very clearly mentioned. Yasya, of whom, Krishna iti, the holy name of Lord, Giri, in the words of speech, that person, tam, aham, manasaha, by the mind, adriyeta, one must honor. See, it is very important. Adriyet word here in this particular shloka is something which becomes very important and which is going to explain us further. Adriyeta dīkṣā. Dīkṣā is initiation. So one who has had initiation, asti. Cheta, if, pranatibhihi, that is by obeisances. So pranatibhi is you have to give the obeisances as well. Whom bhajantam, engaged in devotional service, Supreme Personality of Godhead. How? By shrushaya, by practical service. Then the next part is bhajana vidnam, one who is advanced in devotional service, and that too how? Without deviation, ananyam. So not only that, he is of blasphemy of others, and whose heart, that is rhythm, is desirable, ipshita, of association, that is sangha, and that is where we will be gaining the benefit by, that is love. So, Krushneti yasti giritam manasandriyeta dikshati cheta pranatibhicha bhajantam isham shushruya bhajana vidnyam anyanam anyanindadi shunyam rudam ipsitam sangalabhya. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Kṛṣṇa. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is devoid of propensity to criticize others. So this particular discussion is basically about our dealings. So when we are about at the middle level, what we are thinking about is loving, how to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We try to make friends with the devotee. We show favor to the ignorant and reject the dealers and the demoniac. So if you see Shloka 4 to Shloka 5, the journey is very simple. Like Shloka 4, It explains the importance of association with devotees and six ways to associate with devotees. And here what Shloka 5 is teaching us is what kind of a Vaishnava should be selected as a friend and how Vaishnava should be served. So whatever we learned in Shloka 4, Shloka 5 is now giving us on whom we can implement like that. So what we have to do is intelligently apply the 6 loving exchanges. And for that, it is important that we select proper persons with careful discrimination. We have to meet Vaishnavas according to their particular status. So for status, we have seen even in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu when we discussed, there are 3 levels of devotees: Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. So when Prabhupada ji is discussing this shloka in the purport, besides explaining how these things have to be done, he has initially started discussing who are these 3 adhikaris. And that is why it is important that we also revise this Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. So Kanishta Adhikari is, if you try to understand him based on the dealings, what we understand that he is worshipping only deities. And irrespective of whether a devotee or non-devotee, he is behaving bad. If you look at initiation part, he has just got the Harinam initiation. So he is trying to chant. And as compared to his faith and knowledge, he has pliable faith. He is soft and unsteady. He has poor knowledge. So it is very easy to confuse. And such kind of a devotee was clearly mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam as well. Archayam eva hare pujam yaha shraddhaye taye natad bhakteshu chanyeshu sa bhakta prakrita smartaha. A person who is very faithfully engaged in the worship of deity in the temple, but who does not know how to behave towards devotees or people in general, is called a prakrita bhakta or a kanishta adhikari. So almost all of us have been on this platform, or I'll say I am even now on this platform, because we are not having full confidence, we are not having full knowledge. That faith has not become so strong that it cannot be deviated. A small wind or even a small air, and we get deviated. And that is why it is important that we work in such a way that we can uplift ourselves to the next level, which is the Madhyam Adhikari. Because then there is an opportunity that we can become better. So when it comes to Madhyam Adhikari, if you see at the dealing level, it deals at 4 levels. Like Prema, Krishna is the object of his love. Maitri, he makes friends with devotees. He is merciful to innocent and he is avoiding the enemies. So the moment we have such kind of dealings, we can say, okay, yes, we have reached the Madhyam Adhikari. And he is very faithful. His firm faith in chanting. He knows it's only chanting which will help him to go further. And he has knowledge, though it is inconclusive knowledge, still he is fixed up and undeterred. He has taken complete Sharanagati and his surrender to Krishna consciousness process continues as it is. Such a devotee was explained again in Srimad Bhagavatam. Ishvare tad adhineshu balisheshu dvishatashu cha prema maitri krapopeksha yakaroti samadhyamah. The Madhyam Adhikari is a devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the highest object of love, makes friends with the Lord's devotees, is merciful to the ignorant, and avoids those who are envious by nature. Now, this is where the whole conundrum lies. Because somehow or the other, after starting chanting, after understanding Krishna, after understanding what is our objective of life, we try to proceed further. And we somehow or the other, we reach the Madhyam Adhikari. But a stagnancy somehow develops. Because we know that Krishna is the object of our love. So we are concentrating on prema. And for our bhakti to improve further, we develop maitri, friendship with devotees. We try more and more association with them. Besides the morning and the evening chanting sessions, we attend the Bhagavatam class, we attend the evening English book reading sessions as well. And we try to be merciful to everyone, even to the animals. But the fourth part, avoiding the envious, that is where we find the difficulty. If you see, even the fourth shloka explains us that we have to sangatyaga. But somehow it becomes difficult. And that is where that knowledge is very important, that yes, even if we do upeksha towards them, we are not going to be losing anything. On the material platform, yes, people may say something about us, but then that is temporary. What is permanent is how you progress and how you face that, which is going to be determining your further success. So this temporary upeksha related wordings that we hear, and we try to, okay, let me be good to them also, even though they are envious to Krishna, it keeps us entangled into material world, and we are not able to proceed forward. And that is where this understanding is important, that if we have to seriously be on this Madhyama level, because unless we achieve this level, we will not achieve the Uttam Adhikari level. We have to start doing the avoidance of the envious persons. And it is only then that we will reach the Uttam Adhikari level, where we will have positive engagement, where we will become self-realized, and we will be very seriously engaged in Lord's service. We will be free from anarthas. So we will be very strict in following the regulative principle. We will expand Krishna consciousness. We will convert many to Vaishnavism. Automatically, critical offenses. If someone think he can do it without false ego or envy, out of great pain or regret. He hates the disease and not the disease, and he tries to protect the newcomer's faith. And such Uttamadhikari is someone who gets easy entry to Krishna. So we also need to develop these qualities. When we say self-realized, what it means is we understand that we are soul and not this body. We understand that our eternal attitude or eternal duty is to serve Krishna. And so we seriously engage in Lord's service in any of the 9 mechanisms, Navidha Bhakti, any of that form. But it has to be seriously taken. We have to be free from anarthas. We have to follow the regulative principles. And we have to follow the how we tell about Krishna to everyone, how we can spread about Krishna consciousness to everyone, how we can convert people to Vaishnava. That is very important. And most important is we have to be uncritical and we have to be offenses. And that becomes the real test of our Uttamadhikari. Because people will criticize, but still we have to be uncritical. People will tell we are doing offenses, but still we have to be offenseless. And we have to continue doing what we are doing without any false ego or envy towards anyone. We may have lots of pain. We may regret why we are doing something, but still we have to continue. We have to understand the difference between what is the problem and what is the problematic issue. So it is important that we resolve the problems. Many newcomers will be assigned to you. You may become mentors. And there your responsibility lies to ensure that their faith is maintained in the process, in the Guru, in the Shastra. So these are the 3 types of devotees, the journey which each one of us is expected to come. And that is exactly where the 3 levels of, or let's say, interactions also comes into picture. So, as mentioned, One who is chanting the holy name of the Lord Kṛṣṇa, we mentally honor that devotee. One who is engaged in worshipping the deity or who has got the dīkṣā, you offer obeisances. And one who is a Tamadhikari, you have to associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service, whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So what it means is the Shloka has clearly explained for the Kanishta Adhikari, we simply honor them mentally. For the Madhyam Adhikari, we offer our complete obeisances to them. And for Uttam Adhikari, we try to serve them and associate with them as much as possible. And that is where the process of elevating oneself from neophyte stage to the advanced stage lies. That we surrender to the service of spiritual master and try to avoid offenses and chant the holy name, the prescribed number of times. Now, when we say surrendering to the service of spiritual master, there Prabhupada ji has explained it in detail because it is like explanation of dīkṣā. So when dīkṣā is happening, there are many transformations which are expected. Like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is clearly mentioned. Dīkṣā kāle bhakta kāre samarpana So at the time of initiation, when a devotee fully surrenders to the service of the Lord, Krishna accepts him to be as good as himself. So what it means is there are two transformations which are expected. You have to fully surrender to the Lord's service. And then the second transformation which happens is Krishna accepts us as good as himself. Even in Bhakti Sandarbha, which is written by Srila Jiva Goswami, dīkṣā and spiritual initiation was clearly mentioned. He says, Divyam Dnanam Yato Dadyat Kuryat Papasya Sankhasham Tasmad Diksheti Sa Prokta Dishikesha Tattva Ko Videhe. By dīkṣā, one gradually becomes disinterested in material enjoyment and gradually becomes interested in spiritual life. So what it indirectly is talking about is that dīkṣā is going to help us in having gradual disinterest in material enjoyment and developing gradual interest in the spiritual life. So how does it happen? How is it possible that there can be disinterest as well as interest? So the example which we know of is how Prabhupada disciples who were very rich and respectable families in Europe and America. So they were ready to accept any living conditions. That was a sign of their detachment. And the sign of their attachment was the only priority of their life is association of devotees, ready to sacrifice any comforts. So that is where that simultaneous disinterest and interest comes into picture. And only when we are able to have such quality develop, then it becomes suitable that yes, spiritual master can have his mercy on us. So the next question which was discussed by Prabhupada ji in this particular was, what will be the qualifications to be fit for dīkṣā? So he clearly explains it, as explained even in Srimad Bhagavatam 6th canto. Tapsa brahmacharena shamena cha damena cha tyagena satya shauchabhyam yamena niyamena va dehavaka buddhijam dhira dharmadnyaha shraddhayanvitaha Shipanatyagam vat api venu gulmam eva analam. So Prabhupada ji says that for the advancement of spiritual life, what is prescribed is tapasa brahmacharena shamena damena. So he has to be ready to practice austerity, celibacy, and control the mind and body. So we have to develop this interest in material enjoyment. Be prepared for these austerities, and we have to be desirous of divya dhyana or spiritual enlightenment. You have to be inquisitive, jidnyasu about transcendental science. not inquisitive about mundane subjects, and not accepting spiritual master for the sake of fashion. What it means is tad vidnyana. So devjnana means tad vidnyana, or knowledge of the Supreme. So the moment we are showing these qualities, this interest towards materialism, ability to have austerities, control of mind and body, where we are seeking jnana, divya jnana, I will say, not only the jnana, then it becomes suitable for us, for a spiritual master to initiate us. And that is something which is very, very important as well. So there are scriptural references also why we need a bona fide spiritual master. Without a guru, we cannot succeed in our spiritual journey. Tasmad gurum prapaddeta jidnyasu shreya uttamam shabda parecha nishnatam brahmam and so any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of a bona fide guru is that he has realized the conclusions of the scriptures by deliberations and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, leaving aside all material consideration, should be understood to be bona fide spiritual masters. Second scripture reference we find in the Mundaka Upanishad also. Tad Vijnanartham sa gurum eva vigacche. So it is important that we start, and that advancement will be under the guidance of Guru when we sincerely do the chanting. Because chanting is a sublime process. It elevates even a neophyte of soft and pliable faith to the highest platform, as mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yahar komal shraddha se kanishta jana krame krame teno bhakta hai be uttama. One whose faith is soft and pliable is called a neophyte, but by gradually following the process, krame krame teno bhakta hai be uttama, he'll rise to the platform of first class devotee. So only requirement is quality. We have to try carefully to avoid the 10 offenses. We have to do the 16 rounds. Many times the question comes that when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has said that it should be 64 rounds, why Srila Prabhupada has said only 16 rounds? The answer was very simple. Because with Kali Yuga effects, with modernism, with Western culture, there is poor concentration. So 64 rounds with concentration is not possible. So even 16 quality rounds are sufficient, and that is what is a requirement. And so the whole summarization is that we have to interact with Vaishnavas only. But the question which remained unanswered was, how do we recognize a Vaishnava? And this exactly was one of the questions which Satyaraj Khan, who was a great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, asked how a Vaishnava could be recognized. And the Lord replied to him, Prabhu kahe, Yanara mukhe sui ekabara Krishna nama sei puja shreshta sabakar. If one hears a person say even once the word Krishna, that person should be accepted as the best man out of the common group. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, Ateva Yanra Mukhe Eka Krishna Nama Seita Vaishnava Kariye Tanara Sammana. One who is interested in chanting the holy name of Krishna, or who by practice likes to chant Krishna's names, should be accepted as a Vaishnava and offered respects as such, at least within the mind. So anyone who has uttered the name of Krishna even once is respectable, and who is having so much of interest to keep on chanting or to keep on listening, they are all Vaishnava, just like you all people, and you have to keep on respecting them, associating with them. So to summarize, what this shloka number 5 has done is, it has made us understand the Kanishta Adhikari, who worships only deity, behaves badly with devotees, who is trying to chant, but whose faith is pliable. Madhyam Adhikari, who is for whom Krishna is the object of love, who is merciful, who is developing friendship with devotees, who is avoiding the envious, but whose knowledge is inconclusive. But yet he is fixed up and surrender to Krishna consciousness process, who is undeterred and continues the process in any circumstances, and who is faithful and firm in chanting. And the best, Uttama Adhikari, who is pure, free from anarthas, who is uncritical, even if a devotee criticizes, who is without false ego or envy, who is ready to do anything out of great pain or regret, who is diseased, not the diseased, who is ready to protect the newcomers. So such person is self-realized, seriously engaged in Lord's service, strictly following the 4 regulative principles, who expounds to spread Krishna consciousness, who is disinterested in material enjoyment, can become the best guru. He is offenseless and converts many to Vaishnavism. So such person is one whom we have to concentrate. And then we saw what should we do or how should we interact with the Uttama Adhikari. So it all starts with association, then serving with faith, and that is Shraddha, and inquiring. So faith, inquire, associate, and serving, these have to be our interactions with the Uttama Adhikari, and that will lead us to success on this journey home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. And that is what our ultimate objective has to be. As explained by Srila Prabhupada in this this particular shloka and ending and implementing it in the best way that you can. That is the only solution that we can think of progressing further. Krishneti yasya giritam manasandriye dīkṣāti cheta pranatibhi cha bhajantam isham sushrishaya bhajana vidyam ananyam anyanindadi shunya hridam ipsita sangalabdhyam. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Kṛṣṇa. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation dīkṣā and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaya